I'm now to turn our attention to the international newspapers. Elitsa Gadava joins us in studio for that. Elitsa, going to start with the stalled meeting between Trump and Putin.
That's right, Eve. And of course, the US president said that the meeting risked being a waste of time. The Kyiv Post here reports that the sudden reversal casts fresh doubt on Trump's wish to achieve a quick peace in Ukraine. And the paper quotes an expert who says that there are no miracles in diplomacy, only the successful execution of a well-planned strategy. An opinion piece here in the Washington Post then writes that Russians never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. It estimates that the collapse seems to be the result of a phone call between US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Sergei Lavrov on Monday. And Lavrov, who said that Russia cannot stop fighting because that would mean that Russians are forgetting the root causes of the conflict.
Okay, meanwhile, it's many articles looking at the latest on the front line.
That's right. The Moscow Times here with some reporting. It says that this summer at the front line was a strategic defeat for the Kremlin, despite the fact that the Russian army was outnumbering the Ukrainians 3- to 6-fold in certain areas. The paper says it only managed to achieve limited tactical gains, and the opinion piece calls it an obvious summer failure, and says that now in the fall we can expect terror tactics, which might include targeting civilian infrastructure like energy and gas facilities, for example. And the paper adds that the Russian army is currently facing the dilemma of how to counter Ukrainian long-range strikes. But that's not the only problem. In another article, the Moscow Times reports that Russian researchers now have concluded that Russian soldiers are struggling with PTSD, alcohol abuse, and suicidal thoughts after fighting in Ukraine. The paper says that that kind of research has already been done in the West, and Western media has reported on it, but it's the first time that Russian researchers are also investigating the scope of the war. The Moscow Times also says that notions of masculinity are stopping Russian soldiers from seeking psychological help, and also fears that it could harm their military career.
Okay, your next story looks at investigative journalists that say that NATO is involved in a €1 million corruption scandal.
That's right. It's a huge multimedia investigation between French paper La Lettre, Belgian papers including Le Soir and Knack, and Dutch investigative media followed the money. And the investigation reveals that agents and consultants of NATO's support and procurement agency, NSPA, are suspected of having received millions of euros connected to purchases of explosive and drones. Follow the Money here says that several suspects were already arrested across Europe in May, but a couple of months later, the US dropped charges against 4 of them, despite what the paper calls very strong evidence. And I don't really have the time to go through everything that the papers revealed. It's quite a lot. But Follow the Money quotes experts who say that all of this shows that the Trump administration does not want to prosecute corruption. Eve.
Next up, you've spotted an article about the dark side of the business of surrogacy.
That's right. It's in the Wall Street Journal here that says that surrogacy is a multi-billion-dollar business, but sometimes the money goes missing. And couples often use escrow accounts to handle the large amounts of money that they have to pay. And the Wall Street Journal reports that these companies are part of an industry that's very loosely regulated, and they have to handle millions of dollars with almost no oversight. So sometimes people who work for these escrow agencies use the client's money to buy whatever they want. So, for example, the Wall Street Journal reported that some of the money was invested in a recording studio, a yoga business, buying Bitcoin, or a person even used it to feed his online gambling habit. And the paper says that the lack of regulation often means that parents and surrogates cannot recover their funds if the money goes missing.
Next, it's to Iceland, and it's finally been invaded by an insect that has bothered the rest of us for quite some time.
That's right. It's mosquitoes. Of course, mosquitoes. It's a first for Iceland. That was one of the few places in the world without the very annoying insect. The other one is Antarctica. And The Guardian says that this shows that global warming is making the country more hospitable for insects. It says that Iceland is warming at 4 times the rate of the rest of the northern hemisphere. And we can also see their glaciers melting, which is also inviting different species of fish in the waters there, Eve.
Okay, finally, it's nearly 10,000 people and 550 cats all coming together for the world's largest cat show.
That's right. It's organized by the Cat Fancier Association. It's the world's largest registry of pedigreed cats. And their cats compete. They want to know, like, what's the most unique cat, the once-in-a-lifetime cat. So people from all around the world show up there with their weird cats, as we can see here. And unlike dog shows, cats there don't really have to do tricks. They are just rated based on, for example, their paws, how big their eyes are, how big their tails are, also on how big their ears are. So yeah, it's a very big show. Grumpiness is not one of the categories, although this cat would definitely win, Eve.
He definitely looks quite cross there. Let's get over. Thanks a lot for that look at the international newspapers.